This week in Cleveland, the National Urban League is holding its annual convention. We're honored to have with us the president of the National Urban League, Marc Morial. Marc, it is good
Russ,
to see you.
Good to see you.
Welcome to Cleveland.
I'm glad to be in Cleveland. And Cleveland, thank you, Cleveland.
Yeah.
Because from Mayor Bibb to Marsha Maccabee and Kevin Clayton, the CEO and chair of the board of the Cleveland Urban League, they have truly rolled out the red carpet. We're going to have a very successful conference.
And of course, Marsha, the president of the Urban League
Yes,
here in
yes.
Cleveland. That's what I want to ask you. We know Cleveland's a great town. We always like to ask folks, what made the organization choose Cleveland for its national convention?
I think three things. One, Marsha, clearly. Marsha's been a transformational leader. She took the Cleveland Urban League from its difficult times around the Great Recession, and he really built it into a respected entity here in Cleveland, doing solid programs, doing effective advocacy, and earning the respect of Cleveland's leadership, from pastors to grassroots leaders to business leaders to elected officials. That's number one. Number two, Kevin Clayton, who is chair of the board and executive vice president with the Cavaliers, was instrumental because he said, look, we can build the support you need from the business community to make the conference work. And then thirdly, Mayor Bibb, we really like to come to communities where we have a forward-leaning mayor, forward-leaning leadership. So that's the formula that gets us here. Now, to execute an effective conference, I want people to know, number one, the Urban League Conference is a purpose with a party. We're going to have important conversations and discussions about the challenges that America faces today, the attack on democracy, the attack on diversity, and the economic policies which are not favoring working Americans. And then secondly, and as importantly, there's a part of this conference for Clevelanders. So tomorrow we're going to have a career fair and a jobs fair. There's going to be a college fair. There's Family and Community Day coming up on Saturday, which is wide open to the public. So Cleveland, if you're watching, we want you there.
Yeah. One of the hallmarks, one of the signatures of the annual convention is the State of Black America statement, of course, started in 1976 by Vernon Jordan,
Yes,
I believe.
you know your history.
I do, and it's something that people pay attention to every year. It's a very important statement. I know you're going to get into specifics later, but if you could, as we speak right now, what is the state? How would you describe the state of Black America in 2025? State of emergency.
And the reason why is there's an assault on 70 years of progress, going all the way back to Brown versus Board, to the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, that have laid the foundation to make American democracy better, to make American democracy more inclusive. This new administration, this 47th president and his team are pushing back, seeking to unravel that. Number two, the attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is really an attack on equal opportunity and on economic policies that benefit everyone. And I think thirdly, we see with the big ugly bill, as I call it, a blueprint for the future that strips away health care, strips away education, strips away support for the most vulnerable Americans and even Americans in the middle class. So we've got to frame that to help people understand why we've been so insistent as a part of a resistance movement in this country to those policies.
Let me ask you about people who these days, many of them, the administration and many voters, believe that DEI programs are themselves discriminatory in what some people call reverse discrimination. When you hear that from people, you say what?
It's a great big lie. When you seek to open the door for people who've been left out, it's not discrimination. When you seek to level the playing field, it's not discrimination. None of these programs are preference programs. None of them have ever been quota programs because quotas have been banned in law for many, many decades. And what I see it as, Russ, is a smear campaign. It's an effort to distort, it's an effort to confuse, and it's an effort to provoke fear. What the American people say in poll after poll after poll is they want corporate boardrooms, they want corporate C-suites, they want news stations to look like America. They want everyone to be included. That's exactly what diversity, equity, and inclusion seeks to do.
What is the National Urban League's policy on companies that have abandoned their DEI policies?
Well, our policy is we are continuing to bring pressure on them. Those who have not abandoned, we applaud. Those who are thinking of abandoning, we are in consultations with, we are having conversations with, and we don't hesitate to bring pressure if it's necessary. For those who've stepped away, and there are very few who admit they've stepped away, many are trying to, I think, have it both ways, if you will. In other words, they want to convince us that they've remained committed, but they want to convince the opponents that they've walked away. It's a much more difficult question. But I'm not going to give up on diversity, equity, and inclusion, because I'm not giving up on equal opportunity. And I'm not going to give up on the American value proposition that everyone ought to have an opportunity to participate fully in the American economy. Everyone ought to have an opportunity to pursue American prosperity.
Let me ask you about this state of emergency that you talk about. Let's take Ohio, for instance, as a microcosm for what's happening in many communities across the country. A little more than a decade ago, Ohio was a swing state. It is not anymore. It's very red. You've seen this in other parts of the country as well. Voters who embrace the policies of the Trump administration. In your mind, how did this happen over the years, and how did we get to what you describe as a state of
Donald
emergency?
Trump has been very effective in dividing America and in provoking fear and division. And fear sells in politics. And I think he's been very effective in convincing some Americans that other people are a threat, that black people are a threat, that those who have come here as immigrants are a threat, that these are threats to their prosperity, versus an alternative vision, Russ, which is that America is big enough for everyone. And America has always, always been a place of opportunity for everyone. So what I encourage those in Ohio to look at, and I looked at it this morning, is the impact that this big, ugly bill is going to have on health care in Ohio. Tens of thousands, literally hundreds of thousands of people in Ohio are going to lose Medicaid. They're going to lose health coverage. And many will be laid off, those that work in the healthcare sector. But what this big, ugly bill does is it delays the impact of those cuts until after the 26th election. So beware, ladies and gentlemen, trickery is in the air. Deception is in the air. These cuts may not affect you today, but they are in law to affect you in 2026 and 2027 and beyond.
Going back to this, the mindset of the country these days in many communities, you're talking about change. In your mind, what will it take to change? Will it have to be through the courts? I know the Urban League has filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration on DEI policies. Will it come from a change in politicians, or do you think it's more of a grassroots effort?
I think it's a I think the MAGA, Russ, is a movement. I think it's going to take a movement to counter a movement. And that's bigger than simply an election, but it includes elections. It includes grassroots. It includes lawsuits. It includes people who realize that these policies that are being implemented today are not in the best interest of all Americans. And I think most polling shows that most Americans agree with that supposition or that proposition. And it's going to take a tremendous amount of work. Look, we're in the fight. We're 115 years old. We're in it for the long haul. Elections do not change our policies, do not change our mission, do not change our aims. We continue to do the same work today as we did 5, 10, 15 years ago. Although I will say today, our people, our members, are more energized than ever before.
Going back to today versus yesterday, you've been president of the National Urban League since, what, 2003? So 22 years. Are the headwinds against your mission stronger today
they are
than
stronger.
They were in 2020?
There's no doubt that they are stronger. They're as strong as they've been since the 1950s and the early 1960s. That is a fact. But our ability and our power to respond is also stronger. And it's stronger because of 60 years of work, the infrastructure in the community, the power we have as voters, the power we have as consumers, and also the fact that I believe in my heart and my soul that a majority of the American people, across all races, colors, creeds, and religions, want an America that is great for everyone.
How would you describe to people the National Urban League in 2025?
I would describe the National Urban League as a highly effective, highly energetic provider of direct services in 92 communities across the nation, and an advocate for civil rights and economic empowerment and social justice for all.
Marc Morial, it is always great to see you. Former mayor of New Orleans.
Thank you. Thanks, Ross.
Enjoy your time in Cleveland.
Congratulations to you. It's been 15?
It's been 15 years.
15
yes,
years.
Exactly. And tell your lovely bride, Michelle Miller, who I worked with at CBS.
We're proud of you,
I said
Russ.
hello. Well, I'm proud of you, proud of her, done a great job.
Appreciate it.
And again, welcome to
you.
Cleveland.
Thank you.
Have fun.
All right.